Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 6, episode 61 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. Jonathan Lidskin is not here with me. He's feeling a little sick this morning, so we had to call in an audible. Good audible, though. We've got Tate Frazier here. Tate, welcome to Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to step in. I feel like I'm happy to be a utility guy, a role player, whatever you need. An X factor, glue guy, whatever comes to mind, I can step in and make it happen.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot this year about Know Your Role All-Stars.
There you go.
Really been a Know Your Role All-Star so far on the Basket Under Review pod. Now you can be a Know Your Role All-Star on Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. We have a big weekend coming up. Obviously, we had a couple games this week. We did the Jimmy V Classic recap a couple nights ago. There was one real game of note last night. Iowa State over Iowa. It was an impressive kind of first segment from Iowa. Then Iowa State really punched back and kind of took the lead, and it just felt like Iowa didn't have enough in the tank to make that last push. Tate, do you have any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I was impressed with Iowa, for the most part, just being able to compete and contend in that game. Bennett Sturts did not have his best effort. Obviously, only ended up, I think, with 10 points in that game. Made 3 threes, I guess, which was an encouraging sign. But just in general, just wasn't his best game. My one knock on Sturts, I do feel like sometimes he can be a little bit one-dimensional. Like if he's not completely in control of what's happening, it just feels like he maybe kind of falters a little bit, And I do think like his evolution will be, kind of off the ball, being able to make contributions when he's not just scoring the basketball. But that's kind of a side point. It just goes back to Iowa State can win in so many different ways. And like that big three with Jefferson, with Lipsy, with Momcilovic, right? Those three guys are just real sturdy, and they just feel like they know their identity. Torrey's been playing some really good basketball. I know Painter gave him a lot of credit after that win at Purdue. So just in general, they're just a really good team. And it was nice to see them have to play in a setting like that where they're in a rivalry game. They didn't really play their best game, but they just found a way to win. And I think that's really the encouraging sign if you're an Iowa State fan right now. It's just like whatever it is, they feel like they have the right answer, and they can play multiple different ways. So it's just another kind of feather in the cap of the Iowa State Cyclones.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this game, and Iowa had to play some pretty big lineups late. We saw Tate Sage get some minutes. We saw Cooper Koch out there with Manyao, and it didn't feel like the lineups that Iowa wanted to get out there. And I think that's one of the reasons why Iowa State is so good, because they can kind of dictate what lineups you play, because they have so much size in the front court of guys that can A, shoot, B, pass, and C, defend. Jefferson, one of the best players in the country, obviously, it's going to be season end today, first team All-American. But Blake Buchanan was so good on the defensive end of this game. Just didn't feel like Iowa was getting everything it wanted offensively. It just felt like they were having a little bit of trouble, and Buchanan was erasing things at the rim when they did get what they wanted. I think that was key, and obviously Jefferson doing Jefferson things.
Yeah, we need a nickname for Jefferson, right? Like it just feels like it's such a. I was talking to Eamon Brennan about this. It's just such a basic name, Josh Jefferson, that I feel like somehow it gets lost in the shuffle. Even though, like you said, he's probably a first-team All-American right at this moment. I don't know if we call him Jazzy Jefferson. I don't know if we figure out some sort of way to get him a nice nickname so that the general public will catch on to the fact that he's had such a good season for this team. So maybe we can workshop that at some point.
Yeah, that's a great thought. I thought Nate Heisey was really good on Sturts as well, kind of late in this game. They went away from Torrey a little bit. They kind of gave Heisey some of the closing minutes, and I thought it was really good. Don't think there was anything else to go over from last night. Syracuse gets a win. Green Bay beats IU Indy in a game of some teams that I'll have an eye on throughout the year for sure. A fun rivalry game, D1 versus D3 in Minnesota. St. Thomas against St. John's. Those teams were rivals in the MIAC. Nolan Minnesali was awesome in that one. He's, I think, the leading scorer in the country right now. But we've just got to move on now and talk about this weekend, because that's what we're all here for. We've got a weekend preview. And, oh, man, the big games this weekend are starting late at night. We've got 9:30 Eastern in Birmingham, Alabama, Arizona, Alabama. Last year they played, I believe, in Phoenix, or was that 2 years ago they played in Phoenix? I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was 2. Yeah,
Because
you're right.
I was
It all
leaving.
blurs together. I don't.
Yeah, no, I
You
remember
watch
this
so
one.
much basketball. It all comes.
I remember this
together.
one because it started as I left the Garden after Duke Baylor 2 years ago.
Nice.
So I feel like every time I go to a Garden game, Arizona is playing after it. And wouldn't you know it, tomorrow I'm going to the Garden and Arizona's playing after it. Now the Garden game is at noon, so it's a different story. But Arizona, Alabama, two teams that play completely different styles. They both want to play fast, get up and down the floor, but they do it in really different ways. And that's what makes this, I think, one of the most interesting games of the year.
Yeah, I think that Arizona is going to fall into the trap that Nate Oates has set here. And I do feel like Arizona, I'm happy that they're the number 1 team in the country. I do think that they deserve to be the number 1 team in the country. I think Kim Pom has them at like number 6 right now. So Kim Pom doesn't see them as the number 1 team in the country. You hear arguments from Michigan, obviously, because they've just been so dominant. Duke is in that conversation. So it's kind of a 3-prong who you want to pick as your number 1 team in the country. But Arizona has that right now.
Let's not discount Iowa State either.
Iowa State, right. Maybe we'll throw them in. Maybe there's a Final Four there for the number 1 team in the country. But I do think that this weekend is where it might end for Arizona because Nate Oates, this is, like I said, a team that wants to give them more possessions, a team that wants to run up and down the floor, a team that wants to play quote-unquote Alabama style is usually not something that's, in favor of the opposing team for the most part. Most teams that have been able to get Alabama have been able to settle things down in the half court. You even saw Clemson be able to get in the half court with them and kind of make it a little bit of a slowed down game. But when the numbers are on Nate Oates' side, I feel like all things kind of fall their way. And in Birmingham, it's like a neutral plus game, right? It's going to be basically a home game for Alabama for the most part. So I'm flagging this game as 1, the game of the day, but 2, a game where I feel like Arizona might have more than they can handle because that backcourt, I mean, just, Philon's been so great. I feel like he's done a better job of kind of not being as me first with this team. Like he's sort of falling more into like, all right, I got to get the best shot here. And again, their whole MO is like, take the first good look. Don't look for the great shot. But again, in this game, they're going to get a lot of good shots. And I think Arizona might be in trouble for this one.
Yeah, I think that if Alabama comes out and hits their shots, turns it into a math problem where 3 is greater than 2, then absolutely. But I'm looking at this game from the perspective of how is Alabama stopping Arizona in the paint? And I think that I do kind of look at Arizona's backcourt, Jaden Bradley, when they roll Karchenkov out there. Obviously, Delorso is not a great defender, but Arizona's got so much size, and Berries has given them a little bit defensively, not a ton. I do think that Arizona is maybe a little more geared to guard Alabama's backcourt than Alabama is to guard Arizona's front court. But then again, that's still where you kind of get into, hey, it's still a math problem. Alabama is still an elite athletic team. And I think you get to the point where if Alabama comes out and makes their shots, they can be up 17 in the first half against anyone in the sport. And it's kind of hard for them to be down 17 against a team that's not taking a lot of threes. So I think mathematically, Alabama should win. Matchup-wise, I think this is a really, really good test for Arizona's backcourt and how they can kind of handle Alabama and the constant pressure that they're going to be putting on the ball with the amount of threes they take and the drives to the rim. Want to see a big, I'm very much keeping an eye on guys like Taylor Bobo and Aiden Sherrill in this game, but also Keaton Bristow, because Bristow has given them some real good energy minutes. I think they might need more than just energy minutes from him in this game. He's a little lean, but he's definitely got some strength to his frame. He's definitely got some talent on him. Definitely keeping an eye on Amari Allen as well. Amari Allen's given them some really good minutes. London Jemison's given them some good minutes. They've got size, but most of their size is like wing size more so than true big size. And I think that could cause some issues for Arizona defensively with how many threes they're going to be able to get up, and I think they could slash. But I also think Krivas around the rim makes that a little difficult. The size that Arizona presents around the rim, and I'm very curious just to kind of overall see how the rebounding battle plays out in this game.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously Alabama leads the country in rebounds. And as Nate Oates has made the point multiple times, it's because they have so many possessions. He's like, it's not because we're the best rebounding team in the country. It's because the math is on our side. So that's why we get more rebounds, because we get more possessions.
Their point guard had more rebounds than my front court.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I think a lot of times we get lost kind of in the the static numbers, right? And if you go down another layer, then obviously, you get past the eye test, Sam. You can get down to what's going on there. But I do find the Koa Pete matchup, like who's going to guard Koa Pete and what Koa Pete can present in this game. I think that's going to be a fascinating matchup. The good part is that both these teams have been battle tested. Both these teams have played high major competition at this point, and we've kind of seen the best version of themselves. And we've also seen kind of the worst version of Alabama at times as well. So I think they've learned their lessons. I think Bull Bowen, like you said, Taylor Bull Bowen, I think is going to be a guy that, I saw Nate Oates the other day talking about him in practice. He's like, he led us in blue collar points. I feel like he's about to make the turn, like in the right direction for this team. So maybe this is a game where he could really make an impact, especially defensively with those extra effort plays and kind of turn a game on its head a little bit. So again, the matchups are fascinating here. We got the backcourt, Philon versus Bradley. These are two guys that are going to be in the conversation when we're talking about all-American teams.
Who are the 5 best point guards in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question.
Braden Smith, Jeremy Fears.
I mean, definitely Bradley, right? I mean, it has to be Jaden Bradley. He's got to be in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably think Braden Smith, Jeremy Fears, Jaden Bradley, Philon, and I mean, who else are you putting in that conversation?
I mean, it's tough because like Lipsy outplayed Braden Smith head to head.
Lipsy.
True. Like
Lipsy, then probably like Sturts, Gillespie, Dent, like those guys right after that.
Right. I feel like Lipsy jumped
Christian
in that
Anderson.
top 5.
Just
off that one game. Yeah, I mean,
Lipsy's awesome. He's been awesome for a couple of years. That freshman year was really tough because he just couldn't stretch the floor, but he was so impactful defensively.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go into Mackey, have 0 turnovers, and also have Braden Smith turn the ball over 6 times. I mean, obviously, wasn't all on Lipsy defending him, but in general, I just think he outplayed him in that game, so he's got to be in that conversation. But yeah, the fact that we get a koozie matchup is incredible, this early in the season. And I think Philon and Bradley will take it a little bit personally. And I do feel like Jaden Bradley, for whatever reason, even when you talk to just like general casual fans about Arizona, he kind of, if you haven't been watching closely, you're like, oh yeah, the Koa Pete guy, and this guy and that guy, and Bradley isn't getting as much love as he should because at times he's been the best player on the team. So I think this will be a good game for him as well.
I think when it comes down to the end of the game, Jaden Bradley is the best closer in college basketball.
Right. He's been great.
He closed the UCLA game. He closed the UConn game. He's closed their big games this year. And that's kind of what I'm worried about for Alabama. And this, if you're in that type of situation, I don't trust them to get that last stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm a little more confident in Arizona to get the last stop than Alabama. So like kind of everything is telling me matchup wise that Arizona should win this game. And then everything mathematically is telling me Alabama's math problem makes this really hard for Arizona, which is why I love college basketball so much.
Oh, it's so good.
Fuck knows what's going to happen.
Well, that's why we don't like the know-it-alls. I call them the Kias because nobody knows anything in any game. Anything can happen. And, like you said, you could argue both sides of the coin here, and that's why this is going to be such a good game. And I do feel like Alabama kind of needs a statement game because they've had such a gauntlet that if they were able to beat the number 1 team in the country and kind of say to people, hey, we're in that real contender space, right? We're not just like a Elite 8, Sweet 16 type team. We're a Final 4 national championship type team. I feel like this is the way for them to send the message. So I am locked in on this game.
Especially if they can do it by getting stops. And I also saw they are getting Bristow and Bull Bowen back for this game.
Yes.
Which is big. That's really big.
Yeah, so, Bull Bowen is another underrated guy. I feel like that we're going to get his name heard a lot more as the season kind of goes on here.
Yeah, I'm really curious to kind of see how he evolves in this role because, like, obviously he was a good shooter last year, more volume shooting this year, but like his bread and butter is like as a rim runner type guy that can slash, that can block shots, and I do think that you're seeing that. Like he's 85% inside the arc right now. I think you're kind of seeing that. It's a weird fit for this Alabama team, but they kind of needed it. I always liked when Alabama. I liked a couple years ago when they had Clowney and Bediako just kind of as monsters around the rim. Bull Bowen kind of gives them that verticality, a lot less physicality, but the same type of verticality around the rim, while also being able to stretch the floor. And I think that's the roster decision that Nate Oates has to make at this point, because he just wants some size, but he needs his size to be able to shoot. Also, one more thing to keep an eye on: Jaleel Bethea made his Alabama debut against Clemson.
So good.
He scored 21 points against UTSA. One of the guys that my whole thing on Bethea coming out of high school was he is unbelievably good at like 10% of basketball. But that 10% of basketball is probably the most important 10% of basketball, of shooting and jumping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and it was great to kind of see him. I feel like when everyone talked about Alabama, we talked about the backcourt, Holloway, Philon, all these different guys. But people forgot that he left Miami and went to Alabama. So that was the other big part of like when he came back, even for me, who, was keeping up with all the roster turnover, I'm like, holy shit, that's right. Jalil Bethea's on this team. And then he comes right out and makes a mark and makes a statement. So you're right. I mean, he's a guy that, former 5-star. Obviously, last year, everyone was talking one and done. I think going to a Nate Oates type system is only going to make him a better player. And he might not get as many shots as he would if he stayed at somewhere like a Miami. But the fact that he's going to be able to get in this role, have that many possessions, and also, I mean, they'll turn the ball over to him and say, hey, you go do you. Nate Oates isn't afraid of those types of moments. And yeah, this could be a game for him to make some noise too, to let people know, hey, I'm here. I am a part of the college basketball community. I'm here to make a little statement. So that'd be great too.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. We are now going to talk once more about who's probably been the most talked about team in college basketball this year. Of course, that being the Kentucky Wildcats, who are staring down the barrel of potentially being 6-6 with two big games coming up against high major teams that are both in the top 25 at KenPom. They would be 6-6 if they lost to both Indiana and St. John's. Thus far, Kentucky does not have a win against a team ranked higher than 198th at KenPom. They are still 20th because they are beating the hell out of these Quad 4 teams. NC Central they beat by, 36. Tennessee Tech by 50. Loyola Maryland by 42. None of that matters.
Hang
what
the banner.
Everyone's going to remember from Kentucky is the lack of effort that they showed against Michigan State, the inability to get a field goal late against North Carolina, and the lack of effort that they showed against Gonzaga. This is a home game for Kentucky. I don't remember if it was you or someone else that said it on a podcast this week, but like if the energy kind of flips in Rupp and they're booing this team, that could be like a minus 10-point swing.
Yeah, I said in Rupp, it's a plus 10 points. And we had Golden talking about that with Cameron Indoor a couple weeks ago. That's why I was bringing it up. But yeah, if it flips and they turn on them and it's Big Blue Nation instead of Big Blue Nation, then it gets real sticky real quick. And I don't know if you saw Pope's press conference after the Central game. I'm a big sucker for the coach press conference. I don't know if it's because I grew up as a beat reporter or whatever, but I love watching the press conferences and trying to read between the lines. Nobody says anything, but what
Pope
they say. Yeah, he said a lot. He also changed his voice. Did you see this? He's doing mad Mark Pope. I'm mad now. I'm mad and I'm determined and I'm disciplined. It's no more Mr. Nice Guy with me. And I just feel like I know Mark Pope a little bit. I just feel like you don't have to get out of character to get your team into formation, but that's also it's performative because this is what Big Blue Nation expects you to do. So he's almost like placating the audience a little bit. And to me, that just almost causes even more of a concern because I'm like, they really are that lost that like Mark Pope is having to change his whole demeanor and whole makeup to sort of try to get people to understand that he is trying to push effort, energy, all this sort of like stuff that shouldn't even be a question. But for whatever reason with this team, it is. And that really concerns me, Sam. It really does.
Yeah, so I was at the Garden last year for CBS Sports Classic, Kentucky, Ohio State.
Nice.
And Kentucky got blown out. They lost by 20. And Pope goes into the press conference and he's like, we have beautiful people on this roster. They need to start and like it was a different tone from it was even a different tone from what you're hearing now. Like now it sounds like he's lost. It sounds like he has no idea what he's doing right now. And he's a terrific basketball coach. I think the stem of this is that he, once again, and coaches do this way more than I feel like they need to. Steve Peichel did it last year. They build a roster that just does not jive with the way that they coach.
Yeah, win the headlines, not to win the games.
And I thought that Mark Pope, because he's that smart, he's that type of guy, and that was kind of how he had to recruit at BYU, would be able to figure it out. He has not one bit. Meanwhile, Darian DeVries on the other side, we've been talking about Indiana as all offseason. Oh, they're going to be this fireball of an offense. They're now 38th in offense and 21st in defense. The 3-point splits, they're shooting a lot. They're making a lot. But on defense, they're limiting threes, and they're really, really good inside the arc. And for Kentucky, this is not a team that shoots the three particularly well. So Sam Alexis has been awesome defending inside the arc this year. Tate Conaway, Lamar Wilkerson have been really good guarding the ball this year. So I'm curious to see if Kentucky can kind of give that extra jolt and kind of play like a Kentucky team and say, all right, Otega-Oweh, like you've been struggling so far. At some point, you just need to be Otega-Oweh. At some point, these guys just need to be the stars that they are, the stars that they're paid to be. Because it feels like Kentucky just hasn't gotten to that point yet this year where these guys can just kind of take a game and say, all right, I got this.
Yeah, always seems like he's jealous that he's the number one guy on the scouting report. And I'll try to explain that as best I can. It's like, because Aberdeen and these other guys are getting looks, he's like, I liked when I got those looks. You know what I mean? I don't like when the whole defense is kind of catered towards taking me away or taking me out of this game. And it seems like that's a level of frustration that's happening. I also feel like Indiana's playing with house money in this game, even though it's at Rupp. It's just like, if they can get in here, cause a little chaos, get up Gonzaga just punches them in the mouth and Kentucky quits. And that's really the test for this team. Like if Indiana can come out and, DeVries hit some big shots and they get up, 10-2 or whatever it is, like that whole Kentucky team, it feels like
the booze
they don't know what to do.
Timeout, booze in that timeout would be biblical. Right. We would be talking about that. We would be talking about that on Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers for the next 15 years.
Yeah. And like Pope is so close to the line of demarcation where it goes the other way. I feel like much closer than we would even in your wildest dreams, based on like if you watch the Purdue exhibition game and watched the reaction, which is like Kentucky's going to win the national title, and then you saw where we are December 12th. It is just so crazy, the free fall that they're in. And I really don't even know what the turn is. I don't know what they point to. And obviously everyone's like, well, when Jalen Lowe comes back, he'll help. I don't think he really does, but so much. And then I think, Quaintance comes back. Every single lineup that they put out there is either missing a defensive aspect or an offensive aspect. And that goes back to the roster construction, like you said. But I think he's trying to placate the expectation of his fan base, which is like, of course we need Jasper Johnson. He's a local 5-star. We have to get him. And by getting him, we stick it to Cal. Cal's fine. He doesn't, it's like he'll get another one. It's okay. But like, I don't know. A lot of the stuff I feel like they did to, again, try to placate the audience, not actually play the games. And it's coming back to bite them. And I don't really know where Pope goes. But if it's Indiana, Kentucky, and Indiana is going to come down there in the Rupp and get a win, like they are going to go full panic mode, and it's going to be heads on fire, and everybody's going to be pointing the finger. And unfortunately, the finger is going to get pointed at Mark Pope. So I hope for Kentucky's sake, and I hope for Otega-Oweh's sake, and I hope for the rest of the roster's sake that they can find some sort of lightning in a bottle and turn this thing around. Because if they don't, it's going to be a long season, a really, really long season.
On the Indiana side of this, they're coming off 113 points.
Incredible game.
Indiana shot 8 for 27 from 3 against Minnesota, 11 of 34 against Louisville. Basically, their kind of best shooting performances are the Penn State game, the Marquette game. But like they don't need to hit all their threes to keep creating open looks. I was watching the Kansas State game, and it was so obvious just that Kansas State was a team that was like a little checked out compared to Indiana. Every possession was a wide open three, even if they weren't going in. Every possession was just a drive and kick. And I fear that Kentucky is kind of like a, hey, if they allow a couple threes early, and Indiana got up 20-4 in that game, they allow a couple threes early, do they just kind of wilt away and drive and kick? Darian Tucker DeVries hits an outside shot. Wilkerson drives, kicks it out. Reed Bailey is an outside shot. Does that like happen if Indiana comes out with a couple of made threes early? Because the Hoosiers can torch the rims. They are a really, really gifted scoring team.
I mean, if Wilkerson hits 10 threes as he did against Penn State, you're talking about a disaster class. I mean, the guy shot 72. The last time we saw Lamar Wilkerson, he shot 72%. He scored 44 points in 24 minutes. So like if he comes and even delivers half of that, let's say he has 24 points and he hits 5 threes, that is not going to be a good recipe for the Kentucky defense. And I don't know about you, but as I watch Kentucky play defense, they just seem so disconnected. It's just like it's everybody's on an island. If you get beat, oh shit, well that's your fault, not my fault. It's very independent defense. It is not team defense. And like you said, if they get hot from the outside, it's a recipe for disaster.
Indiana's also got Nick Dorn going recently. He has made, I believe, 11 threes in his last 4 games. This is a guy who was just a total sniper at Elon. Doesn't really do anything else on the court, but when he's out there, you know he's gonna let it fly, and they've gotten him going. That's big. So Indiana, Kentucky, kind of crossroads game for the Cats. Could be a statement for the Hoosiers. A athletic department that has made plenty of statements recently.
And there's just such tortured history in this rivalry too, you know? It's like if they were playing Iowa and Iowa came in and Bennett Sturts was hitting a bunch of shots, I feel like they would be, not as upset. But with Indiana on their chest in Rupp, it's great to have this game back, by the way. I mean,
for the win.
Yeah, I just...
That's like one of my core college basketball memories.
It's been too long. I mean, we need this game. This game is a great rivalry. It's a great matchup. I love that it's in Rupp. I love when it'll be back in Assembly Hall. Like, this is great for the sport that we have this game. And the fact that we have these storylines going into it, like I said, I mean, Indiana, really no pressure in this game. I don't think anybody has the expectation that Indiana's going to come in here and just blow them out, but they could. Based on what we've seen, they definitely could.
I remember when this series got announced. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I put down in my calendar December 16th, 2028, Kentucky at Indiana at Assembly Hall. And my decision was, all right, if I haven't been to Assembly Hall by then, I am going to that game. It's the first time I've ever planned something 5 years in advance.
I love the dedication. I've been to 2 games at Assembly Hall. It's a great gym. One of them was a Carolina game where they got absolutely destroyed, got beat by 30 points. I did not have a great time, Sam, during that game. But again, you can't deny the fact that there is a little bit of just a feeling in that arena that just feels like basketball. So that'll be a good one. I will say this: you should go. I know you have it on the calendar, so you have to go. I think it's locked in.
I was really trying to make it work this year for the Siena game in a couple weeks.
There you go.
But flights were like $400 to get to Indianapolis, and then I have to rent a car, and then it just didn't make any sense to get down.
Going anywhere now is like $1,000. I'm like, what do we do? Like, what is happening in this world?
The Final Four is going to run me like $1,000.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I had to go to Seattle for Thanksgiving, and it was like flying to Europe. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what is the time that we live in? Should I go get on the Greyhound bus? Honestly, the planes these days are basically a Greyhound bus, but not to get too sidetracked. But yeah, you should go to the game. Spend whatever it takes for that matchup, because Kentucky going back to Assembly Hall, they're going to let them hear it. They're going to be like, the Watford shot will be everywhere. That's what I know.
Yes. All right. Kind of a little quicker through some of these games. Nebraska, Illinois, 4:00 on Peacock. Nebraska is 10-0, Tate. They have the nation's longest active winning streak. If you forgot, they were crowned last April by winning the college basketball crown. This is a program that has never won an NCAA tournament game. They've only made the NCAA tournament 3 times since 1997 in the Ken Pom era. They seem like they're on the path to making it this year. They just blew out Wisconsin, moved up to 27th in Ken Pom. I do think this is where the undefeated run will end. But, man, this is a chance for Nebraska to really kind of make a real statement.
Yeah, top 25 defense. The only bright and good news for Ty Lue is that Nebraska is good at basketball and they're undefeated. So I hope Ty Lue can enjoy Nebraska potentially winning their first NCAA tournament game. That used to be like we do our predictions like before the season. I used to always just every single year I was like, Nebraska will win a tournament game, because Nebraska fans, boy, are they diehard. And if they just hear their name mentioned and they hear like a positive like affirmation, they're just like locked in. You know what I mean? They're like, this is the year. I felt very bad that it continues not to happen, but 10-0, a really solid group. They lost the season for the rest of the year, if I'm correct. Which he's done. Yeah, which hurts. But they still got a really talented group. trending in the right direction offensively. I think they're like top 50 now in offense. So again, like you said, number 27 in KenPom, 10-0. Definitely a team in the Big Ten that feels like they could be, top 7, top 8, somewhere in that range. And, it's just a fun, likable group. And I think anytime that you have that type of tortured history when it comes to the tournament, the casual fan has to somewhat root for you at some level. So I'll be rooting for the Cornhuskers. Like you said, I don't think they win this game. I think the streak is snapped, but they're a fun team, and 10-0 is nothing to bat an eye at.
Yeah, just don't think I've given this team enough shine on the podcast yet this year. So just gonna go quickly through some of the stuff.
Please.
I think Price Sanford has really taken a real step forward in terms of his ability to create for himself and for others. Coming over from Iowa, he's averaging 15, 4, and 3 on 47% from the field. He feels a lot more comfortable with the ball in his hands this year, and I think that's been a big key for them. Kind of gives them a bigger ball handler to go along with what they have. I mean, Sam Hoiberg is basically their point guard, and he doesn't really shoot the ball very much. And Jamarcus Lawrence, another guy who just doesn't really shoot the ball a ton, but he's been making his shots this year. The other thing is they get Rink Mast back from missing the entire season last year. And this was a guy that we were talking about back when he was at Bradley on this podcast, and how good he was, and how he was maybe the best player in the Missouri Valley. Now it's 3 years later, and he's one of the best players in the Big Ten. He's the catalyst of everything this team does offensively, because he can face up from the top. Like he can get to the corner. He can get to any spot that he needs to and hit a shot from there. And he does it on very few dribbles. It's not complicated. His game is so simplistic, but so effective. And I think that's kind of what makes it really good. And also, freshman Braden Frazier has been a really, really good addition for this team. He had 15 points against Nebraska. Don't think that's against Wisconsin. Don't think that's a name that I've mentioned on Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Steelers yet. So giving some shine there. If they do go to Champaign and win this game, they will likely walk into a home game against Michigan State at Pinnacle Bank, 13-0 on January 2nd. Man, that would be something. Now, again, don't think they're going to win this game. But Illinois, I think, can match them athletically. But I'm a little bit curious, what I think about Illinois right now. I think they're definitely prone to kind of having a really bad game because they're still not a great 3-point shooting team that's trying to shoot it a lot. They don't really force a ton of turnovers. If Nebraska can kind of make it a possession game and hit their shots, I do think there's a chance. But I think that home crowd is going to be a little bit too much to overcome.
Yeah, I said this the other day that Kentucky should watch Illinois' tape just to see how they pass the ball to each other. The ball does not stick on that team, and that's saying something because it is a lot of new faces and a new place. But for whatever reason, they play really good team basketball, especially on the offensive end, which is one thing I really like about Illinois. But you're right. It feels like they're trying to force the identity of a shooting team. And I don't necessarily think they have, the clientele to back that up at this point, or at least the production to back that up at this point. But I like that they're trying to get the square peg in the round hole. And I do appreciate that they understand that's what the expectation is. And they think they could swing a game from the 3-point line, which, I mean, that's modern basketball. We all understand that. So it will be a tough game for Nebraska there. I think Illinois will handle business. But again, it's a great story for this Nebraska team. And I really like Illinois. I think Illinois is going to be, talk about second weekend type teams that maybe reach a higher ceiling throughout the year. They're definitely there.
All right, let's go to Dallas, where Jerry Jones' Arkansas Razorbacks will be taking on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. This is certainly an interesting matchup because obviously Arkansas's guards and Arkansas is a team that has been strong for the most part, but obviously didn't close out the game well against Michigan State, didn't close out the game well against Duke, kind of had a really big lead against Louisville, and then kind of watched it slowly kind of turn into a little bit of a game on a night where Louisville could not make an outside shot. So I think Arkansas is still kind of waiting for that convincing, especially away from home performance, to kind of really asserts them as a top 20, top 15 team. And meanwhile, Texas Tech is the same thing for me. I don't think they've had a convincing performance this year against a good team. LSU, to me, not a particularly good team. We're going to look back in February and say LSU was 24th in KenPom. I think that's going to be one of the things we do. Texas Tech, to me, not a deep team whatsoever. Arkansas, not particularly deep either. That's kind of become a feature, not a bug, of the John Calipari roster building over the last few years. I think this is two teams that have some serious athleticism within their front courts. Richmond and Knox and Brazil and Pringle, Ewan against Toppin and Watts and Bamboy. But I also think that Texas Tech's guards, veterans, Arkansas's guards, kids, I think at the moment is the better basketball coach. That it's in Texas. Obviously, Arkansas is going to have a good crowd. Both teams are going to have a good crowd at this one, probably. So it'll be an interesting game. I just think Texas Tech is kind of a little better suited right now.
Yeah, Texas Tech has let me down a little bit early in the season, but I think the depth is really the story there with that team. Love Christian Anderson. He's a great player. JT Toppin, I feel like he's been forced to play a little bit right-handed instead of left-handed at times this year, and he's letting the defense kind of dictate what he does. Down in the Bahamas, especially against Purdue. I mean, they're just like, yeah, take some threes. Go ahead. We'll give you the shot. And he just started doing it. I'm like, JT, what are we doing here? So I'm excited to see Texas Tech kind of get into who they should be as a team. This is a Sweet 16 game from last year, so a little bit of rematch. Maybe the theme of this week is kind of get back game from the tournament, right? We saw UConn get their get back game against Florida. Maybe Arkansas gets their get back game here against Texas Tech after losing in the Sweet 16 last year. So maybe that's something you want to hang your hat on. Arkansas has won 10 of the last 14 meetings. That really doesn't matter, but it's worth noting. I love reading the game notes for this just to get a little idea of what to expect. Calipari is 2-1 all time in the American Airlines Center. If that really matters to you.
Trying to think when were those games? They had to be tournament games.
Yeah, exactly. Arkansas 2-3 in American Airlines Center overall. So there you go. It's another note. Carter Knox is trending in the right direction. I've been really harsh on him. So that's a little bit encouraging, I guess, if you're an Arkansas fan. But yeah, this should be a good matchup, especially in the backcourt. Excited to see these two teams kind of have it out. But I kind of lean Arkansas here, Sam. Okay. I don't know. I feel like they've been right there knocking on the door. They should. I mean, honestly, they had the Duke game in the bag. They just completely
they got
that game away. Yeah, they got boozered. There you go.
That's going to be a thing. Like we're going to be saying that in March. Oh, they got boozered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or Caleb Fostered.
They got boozered. They got boozed and fostered.
Yeah, boozed and fostered. Maybe that's like a beer commercial there, like for Foster's beer or something. I don't know. They can figure that out, put that together. But yeah, I just feel like this is a big win for Arkansas. And I feel like what's going to happen, Sam, Arkansas is going to win this game against Texas Tech. Kentucky fans are going to lose their minds as the Indiana game goes the wrong way. And they're going to be like, Calipari's the one that got away. That's my Saturday scheme. I think that's what happens.
I don't think that Kentucky fans are going to revisionist history the Calipari thing.
I think they will. They're going to be like, if Shaden Sharp would have played.
They're going to be disappointed, but I think they remember like just how they're going to want anyone else, but not him.
They're going to want Nate Oates. That's really what's going to happen.
No, they wanted Nate Oates last time.
Yeah. They're gonna turn into that real quick, and then Mitch Barnhart's also gonna be on the hot seat. I feel for everybody in Big Blue Nation.
My general rule is if I know the name of an AD, it's probably not a good thing.
Yep.
Mitch Barnhart is probably one of the ADs that I know that I've known the name of for the longest.
Yeah.
I mean, you're back up there.
But that's the fans, though. Like the fans literally will scream it, like during the game, like they will scream, "Mitch, you did this." It's crazy.
Where would college basketball be without Kentucky fans?
I know. We love them. I love the passion. You can't deny.
They are insane people. Usually do not have the smartest opinions. Some of them, by the way, really, really smart. There are some Kentucky fans that really know what they're talking about. Most Kentucky fans very, very see the sport through blue-colored lens.
Yes, the refs have cheated against us again.
And that blue turns red, by the way, when they start losing.
Yes.
But I think that just a fan base that this, like, one-of-a-kind fan base, like Carolina, Duke, Kansas, like, awesome fan bases. UConn, obviously, great fan base. Kentucky's different. Like, they just do it differently.
It's like an SEC football fan base for basketball.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Because this is their SEC football.
Mm-hmm. And they will fight anybody for it. You know what I mean? You gotta love it. You gotta respect it.
All right. Speaking of Kansas, they have an important one coming up this weekend. They've got NC State. This game will be at the Lenovo Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. Kansas is coming off of the border war demolition of Missouri, where they got Darren Peterson back from his injury. He scored 17 points in 23 minutes. That was his third college game. It still feels like he hasn't had like the moment yet. Obviously, that's because he's only been playing 3 games. Do you think this is where the moment for DP comes?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was great against Carolina. Even playing poorly, he was great. Like I've never seen a guard be able to impact the game while not playing well and still put up that type of production. I think NC State has to win this game to keep the, they're calling it the Red Reckoning. Right now, it's the Red Reckoning with the W in front of the R. You know what I mean? It's a total wreck. And the whole sell job of Will Wade is wearing thin. You talk about crazy fans. NC State fans are insane also.
Yes.
They have a little bit of Kentucky DNA deep inside of them. And we also have to respect that. So I think in this game, they're going to go all out. They're going to do whatever they can do to try to rattle this Kansas team. I think Kansas is a better team, but again, in that center with the Raleigh fans, I think it's a stripe out. They're going to be going crazy. Obviously, Kansas is a team that they know just, from the pedigree that if they win this game, it can change the whole kind of season. So I think Matt Abel will get more minutes in this game. I think Darian Williams has, a little Big 12 history with Kansas, so maybe they can lean on that a little bit. So
was very close to going to Kansas.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, maybe this is an Adidas game where NC State could steal one, but I just feel like, it's hard to really, based on what I've seen from this NC State team, it's hard for me to see a path for them to beat Kansas in this game. But again, on the road, maybe there's a world it does happen. But Peterson definitely will be the best player on the floor. But Matt Abel is a guy that, I've been really impressed with. I think he should be playing more for NC State, but they got a lot of, who's who and what's what as far as who's getting paid and why there's playing so much. But I think in this game, they'll go full throttle and do whatever they can to try to win. So I expect to see him play a little bit more in this one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, NC State's problem of not having a center that's a good post defender isn't necessarily fixable. You obviously know this very well with Venel and Lubin from last year.
Yeah,
I think we kind of just threw it off because they had a lot of wing defenders that we trusted, guard defenders that we trusted. It hasn't mattered. Those guys have been, whenever they get beat, it's a free layup right now.
Mm-hmm.
Flory Badunga could go for 17 and 12 in this game. And then Melvin Council playing off the ball as a slasher type with Peterson, that kind of allows him to get to the rim. Peterson getting to the rim. I think Kansas is going to do an awesome job getting to the rim in this game.
Yeah, and I love Tiller and Badunga being able to pass with each other. I think that actually was the evolution of Peterson being out, is that Badunga became better with his head up with the basketball, finding guys. I know Rosario has kind of been the one that's lost his minutes, it seems like, in this whole thing. But again, Kansas got a lot better without Peterson, and now that they get to bring him back, I think it makes them a real threat. So I think, if anything, they might send a message in this game that they're full throttle, full capacity. Kansas is a different animal.
Yeah, I mean, look, their 3 losses right now are at North Carolina, when it felt like North Carolina simply played the best half, maybe, of the entire Hubert Davis era.
Mm-hmm.
Neutral against a Duke team without Darren Peterson that might be the best team in the country, and a loss to a UConn team that, again, at full strength, might be the best team in the country.
Yep.
So we're kind of sitting in that spot saying, all right, Kansas maybe, and they have the win over Tennessee, and who knows what Tennessee is, but they were able to kind of gut out 3-0 without Darren Peterson, and then it was a much more workman-like performance against Mizzou. I kind of want to see them kind of flash in this game. And we haven't really seen a flash performance from Kansas in a couple of years, because that's not what their roster has been built to do. This year, I think their roster is simply more built for that because they have Darren Peterson. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that potential in this game. We just mentioned UConn. I'll be there tonight at the XL Center, well, now known as People's Bank Arena. UConn hosting Texas. Sean Miller going back to Connecticut around Christmas time. This gave us an unbelievable game last year when Xavier took UConn to overtime. I would be very surprised if Texas takes UConn to overtime.
Me too. I would be very surprised as well. But I mean, stranger things have happened out there. But yeah, this Texas team, I like Vocatitis. I think he's a good player, and maybe he gets Ryba, a little bit shook just because of that matchup. But in general, UConn just comes in waves, and they have so much depth, and it just feels like you don't really even know who's going to hit you in the face, but you're going to get hit in the face. And I don't mean that literally; I mean that figuratively, and maybe literally. Sometimes Dan Hurley might hit you in the face
This
if
UConn
you
team
a
feels
referee.
a lot like the 2023 one, the first national championship team.
Yeah, right. That seems to be kind of the, Mullins is the castle. He's coming back. He's getting his
One, not the
footing.
second one.
Yeah. The first one, right. Yeah, so
With the kind of depth of the point guard position, you got shooters off the bench. You got more depth in general.
right.
Your starting center is the bruising Reed, kind of like Sanogo was. You've got Ryba, the freshman, coming off the bench. Obviously, he's not clinging defensively, but he's been really, really good offensively, and he can stretch it a little bit. And then they were able to gut out the wins against Kansas and Florida. UConn, if you remember going back to the early days of the Dan Hurley era, before they won the championship, and even into a little later, they struggled a lot winning close games. This year, their only loss is a close game, obviously to Arizona, but Arizona might be the best closing out team in the country because they have Jaden Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
You close out Kansas, you close out Florida. I don't know how many closeout opportunities they're going to have in Big East play. Probably a bunch, but they won't have them as often as they would probably hope. The Big East is not terrific. This is as evidenced by this being the only Big East team on my rundown for today. None of the other ones are playing like super notable games. I'll see Seton Hall tomorrow at Rutgers at the Rock at 8:00. That'll be fun, but for Seton Hall, not for Rutgers.
Not for Rutgers.
Yeah, no, that game might end. Like Seton Hall might win by 25.
The Seton Hall has been awesome. I'm happy for him. I mean,
I'm really
Shaheen got
excited
totally screwed in the preseason with the predictions, and he even said as much. So I'm happy to see him kind of turn it on its head. And also, the best thing that happened to UConn was St. John's being ranked in the top 5, right? Like Hurley having that bulletin board material. Also, they just seem like the whole makeup of this UConn team has like Dan Hurley DNA all over it. Last year, it felt like they flew. It was Icarus last year, flew too close to the sun. This year, they seem to be settled back into who they are as a group. And that tenacity, that toughness, the extra effort, the FU mentality, whatever you want to call it, they have it. So those are the two teams in the Big East right now that you're probably the most excited about. And I feel like St. John's, I still have a lot more questions about St. John's, and they're going to have to get those figured out. And they might end up going up against a Kentucky team that has to win that game, which would be really bad for St. John's.
Yeah. St. John's might need to win that game.
That's true. They might both.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I'll see St. John's tomorrow at the Garden against Iona. So they'll probably win that game. If they don't, there's going to be some really, really big questions. Would be awesome to see the Gales get a win over Rick Pitino. I know a lot of people in New Rochelle are really, really angling for that result.
Yeah, that would be hilarious if Rick Pitino lost to both of his former teams, like back to back. He loses to Iona.
They got DePaul in the middle of the week.
They got DePaul in the middle, right? Well, they if they lose to DePaul, we're really having a conversation.
Right. Kentucky in St. John's next 6 games, they play 3 of Rick Pitino's former schools: Iona, Kentucky, and Providence.
I love it. Yeah. That's what we want.
No Boston University on the schedule this year. No Louisville. No Boston Celtics either.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe one day. Louisville. That would be a great tournament matchup at some point if Pitino got into I feel like he would be crying pregame.
That feels very much like a 3-6 or 2-7 matchup right now.
Yeah. With Louisville being the 2, obviously.
Not a good thing for the Big East whatsoever.
Yeah.
UCLA Gonzaga. That
Seattle
will be tomorrow night in Seattle. Gonzaga kind of quote unquote playing host in this one. Man, UCLA kind of needs to show me something. They don't have a win of note particularly. They do have the win over Washington, which again is a solid win. It's going to be quad 1, but it's not a win that UCLA should be getting really excited about right now. UCLA was able to beat Gonzaga last year at the Intuit Dome in a weird game. What do we think happens in this one?
That was the plane game, right? Where like there was a plane that like almost hit the Gonzaga plane. Do you remember that story?
Oh,
like,
yeah. I do remember that. But no,
Yeah.
that was the game where like Ryan Nemhard missed free throws and threw up like a 60-footer.
It was a strange game, a strange day. That's kind of what I'm expecting in this game because it just always feels like that. Whatever reason, these two teams, these two programs have like a weird, like no matter when they play, where they play, there's always kind of feels like there's some sort of close edge. I mean, we get the Jalen Suggs shot that we all remember. Yeah,
Adam Morrison.
Yeah, right. Think about that. I mean, think about how many moments these two programs have, throughout time in college basketball. So for whatever reason, there's something weird that's going to happen in this game. I think the thing that happens weird in this game is that UCLA somehow wins this game. I don't know why I feel that way, but I do think that they somehow figure out a way, even though Gonzaga is a much better team. And I think Gonzaga showed that with their response against Kentucky. But for whatever reason, I just think UCLA has to win this game. And somehow they muck it up enough to win it. So I think this is Mick's muck game. And I think he finds a way to win this one against Gonzaga.
Here's my thing. Sure, Mick can muck it up. Gonzaga has the athletes to unmuck.
Yeah.
And Gonzaga
Miller,
has
Grant Foster.
Gonzaga has the shooters to unmuck. I do think. And they have the athletes to win the muck. So I don't truly think that's going to be now Grant Ike missed the last game. They said he's going to be fine. If he doesn't play, it's a big difference. But Gonzaga, I think they're too hard to game plan against right now. Unless your name is Michigan.
I still am perplexed by Michigan. I don't even know. I don't think we're talking about Michigan enough.
No,
you're right.
Every game I send Jonathan like the screenshot of where they're at in Ken Palm's. Like they're at plus 37. Plus 37. That's like 7 points higher than anyone else like ever is at this part of the season. And, that's letting us forget like there's 4 teams at plus 32 right now. Like that doesn't happen this early in the season.
I almost think that like they need to chill out to keep Dusty May there, Like there's enough NBA people watching. Yeah, there's enough NBA people watching closely to be like, what the hell is this guy doing? And luckily for them, the Pistons are good and they don't have to really worry about the Pistons trying to poach him close by, but somebody is watching. That's all I'll say. So Dusty May, chill out a little bit so we can keep you in college basketball.
All I can think about when I think about Dusty May in the NBA is that picture of him at the Bruce Springsteen concert with Hassan, Woj, and Schefter.
Yep.
And I think was Pete Thamel there too. He might.
I think you're right. I think he was. Yeah.
That's all I can think about. I gotta say, pretty good stuff. I'm wearing a Bruce Springsteen shirt right now, so I'm not gonna complain about that.
There you go. In 5 years, you'll be there with them, and Dusty May will be the head coach of the Knicks. So there you go.
All right. Well, hopefully Bruce is still touring in 5 years.
That's right.
All right. Rapid fire. Any other games that you want to discuss before we get out of here?
Memphis at Louisville, I just feel like is kind of interesting just because Memphis, it's like a train wreck. I can't take my eyes off. Penny Hardaway in the shorts, earlier this year when they were up big on Purdue and then collapse. I just feel like for whatever reason, that would just be very Memphis to make that a game. And Memphis at Louisville. That's the only one I had on the board that we didn't hit. So that's the only one I would say I'm going to tune in for.
I think there's a chance that Louisville comes out in this game and just like hits like 7 threes in the first 10 minutes and is up like 20.
Yeah, I mean they should.
That would be a very Memphis performance, but somehow an even more Memphis performance would be to win the game.
Yes, that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on just pure chaos in the sense that like Memphis is up at halftime. Everyone's looking at the score and be like, "Oh my God, what's going on with Louisville?" Louisville finds a way to win, but Memphis maybe shakes things up a little bit early. That's what I'm saying.
Memphis is the most unpredictable team in the country, and they have been for the last 7 years.
Yes, anything that's supposed to happen will not happen. That's Memphis basketball, baby.
Yep. Santa Clara, Arizona State.
Oh, that's a good one.
Obviously, Santa Clara needs to bounce back after getting blown out by New Mexico. Arizona State, this is not an Arizona State team that is as bad as I thought they would be. Their guards rock. Mo Odom has been awesome. Pig Johnson's been really good. Bryce Ford hits a ton of shots, and they've got more Masamba Diop, who is just a total wrecking crew of a 7'1"
NBA
kind of
prospect. Yeah.
an NBA prospect who might be 2 years away from being 2 years away, but he's away. Like he's got it.
My favorite game of the season, Sam, so far, and maybe this is my own issues, was Mo Odom versus Ace Glass in the Maui Invitational.
Ooh, yes.
That was an incredible guard matchup. I was like, this is so good. And I don't think anybody really was locked in on that game other than, sickos like us, but boy, was that a fun game.
Yeah, that was really good. Obviously Ace Glass and Washington State 3-7 now.
Man.
And they've got USC this weekend.
I will be at that game.
The
on
DJ
Sunday.
Rodman Bowl.
Yeah.
Washington State just does not play a lick of defense.
Yeah. They're just been so close in some of these games where it's like a couple things go their way. They've had some tough calls. My girlfriend went to Wazoo, so I watch all the Wazoo games. David Riley's my guy. So I'm locked in on them. But yeah, they've had some really bad breaks. I've watched all their games. I'm trying to will them to victory. Maybe they can make some splash happen there at USC. But again, you're right. They have not figured out the defensive side, and they just had mental lapses that have just been too much for them to overcome in these games. They don't have the talent advantage to get over it. So it's been tough.
Yeah. All right. Just a couple mid-major games that I want to keep an eye on, and then we'll head out of here. We've got George Washington is playing Florida. GW needs a bounce back after playing Delaware. This probably won't go particularly well for them. We've got Southern Illinois against Richmond. SIU at 6-4. They've won 3 in a row. Just destroyed a good UT Martin team. Richmond at 8-1. They have the win over Belmont. Have been impressed with freshman Aiden Argabright. He's been giving them good minutes. And obviously, Jaden Daughtry is good for them. They have a fun team with AJ Lopez. Mike Walls has taken some steps. He's interesting as well. Good Richmond team, much more talented than last year at that rate. We've got Akron Murray State, which is going to be an absolute hoot of a game.
Yeah, that's your number one game of the day, right? You're locked in.
Oh, I'll be locked in because that's like right in between the two games that I'm at. So like I'll be able to watch this game almost in its entirety.
Love it.
Wait, no. What channel is this game on? Is this game might be on like Baller TV or something because it's not.
Is it like Flow Sports? That's when I'm dead.
Not at either of their home sites. I'm just wondering where. I hope it's on ESPN Plus.
It's got to be, right? I just hate that's the world we live in.
It's on Baller TV. I will not be watching a minute of this game.
Oh man.
I will go back and watch probably the entire thing on Synergy after it's done, though.
There you go.
Mahafis, Shema Scott, Tavari Johnson, Monty Lyles against Roman Damone, Javon Jackson. Such a fun game. Akron's probably going to win. Murray State's really, they're athletic. They're good. Tulsa, New Mexico State should be a good one. NMSU has been solid. They've lost 2 in a row. Tulsa only has 1 loss, and that's by 1 to Kansas State. So we could be talking about Tulsa in a couple months. If they can win this and start building the resume for sure. Utah Valley, a team that I like in the WAC. They're playing a talented UC Santa Barbara team. San Francisco, St. Louis. St. Louis, again, kind of needs a win for the at-large resume.
2 good coaches in that game. Yeah.
2 terrific coaches, 2 of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Really good battle. That should be fun. We'll have an eye on that one for sure. Some potential like interesting buy games to keep an eye on. UC Davis against Oregon. UC Davis has already won a buy game. They beat Nevada. They're a good defensive team. They've got a couple solid players. Obviously, Oregon should win this game, but they've lost 5 in a row. Who knows what's going to happen there? Hofstra against Syracuse. Hofstra, really, really good team. Already has the win over Pitt. Was close against UCF. They just beat a D3 this week, by the way, 92-23.
Yeah, that feels like a game that Syracuse would overlook too. Just look.
Syracuse's schedule from now until ACC play. St. Joe's yesterday. Hofstra, Mercyhurst, Northeastern, Stonehill. Like you have to go 5-0, obviously, but like you can't just go 5-0. Like you have to like do it. Maybe not the way that you did it against Binghamton, Delaware State, Drexel, but you have to like win emphatically.
Mm-hmm.
Number 365 in the country in free throws. Not good. Not good.
Yeah, I mean, they should have won the Houston game if they could make 2 or 3 other free throws. Yeah, ridiculous. Speedy Claxton, also a really good coach. I love
Terrific
Speedy.
coach. Really good at hunting mismatch. Couple rivalries as well. You got Southern Miss against Mississippi. You've got Manhattan against Fordham. That's Battle of the Bronx. So a lot of fun games this weekend, Tate. I really want to thank you for joining us joining me. We will be back at some point soon with another pod, whether that's probably going to be Sunday night at this point. Don't think there's going to be a pod, Saturday Night Live pod in the cards tomorrow night after Rutgers Seton Hall. Going to be coming back from that pretty late. But thank you. If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about, Kentucky basketball and fans booing their own team, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This is season 6, episode 61 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. We will see you next time.
Thanks, Sam.